Why does everything suddenly feel expensive, even when your income hasn't changed? Groceries cost more, rent feels heavier, and small purchases somehow drain money faster than before. But here's the strange part. Inflation doesn't just raise prices, it quietly changes how people think and make spending decisions. Most people don't notice this happening until their money starts disappearing faster. Here are 10 ways financially smart people adapt when everything starts getting expensive. Number 10, accept that prices are higher and plan around reality. One of the biggest psychological traps during inflation is refusing to accept new price levels. Many people remain mentally anchored to the prices they remember from the past, and every increase feels frustrating or unfair. That frustration slowly changes behavior. Some people avoid checking their finances because the numbers feel discouraging. Others react emotionally and spend impulsively just to escape that uncomfortable feeling. But resisting reality makes planning inaccurate. Budgets become outdated, and financial goals begin to feel impossible. Accepting higher prices does not mean giving up. It simply means updating expectations so that plans reflect current conditions instead of past ones. When expectations change, decisions become calmer and more controlled. Energy shifts away from frustration and toward adjustment. Money stretches further when systems adapt to reality instead of fighting it. Number 9, control habits, not predictions. Inflation creates uncertainty, and uncertainty often pushes people to constantly search for predictions about the future. They follow economic headlines, check forecasts, and try to guess when prices might finally fall again. But predictions rarely improve everyday financial decisions. Most individuals cannot control inflation rates, global supply chains, or economic policy. What they can control are the habits that determine how money moves through their lives. Habits influence how often purchases happen, how carefully spending decisions are made, and how flexible a budget becomes. When habits remain stable, spending patterns remain stable, even when prices fluctuate. Consistency creates financial stability during uncertain periods. When behavior stays disciplined and predictable, inflation becomes easier to manage. Number 8, reduce spending frequency before reducing quality. A common reaction to inflation is immediately switching to cheaper alternatives. People look for lower quality versions of products in order to offset rising prices. At first, this seems logical, but it often creates dissatisfaction. Lower quality usually leads to faster replacement cycles and eventually higher overall spending. Instead of lowering quality first, financially disciplined people often reduce how frequently they buy things. They continue buying similar products, but simply purchase them less often. Each purchase carries inflation pressure. Fewer purchases mean fewer opportunities for rising prices to affect the total budget. Reducing frequency also lowers exposure to impulse buying, which becomes more tempting when prices feel unpredictable. Maintaining quality while adjusting frequency allows spending to fall without creating frustration. Number 7, protect essential spending before cutting comfort. Inflation places pressure on essential expenses, such as food, housing, utilities, and transportation. When people feel financial stress, they sometimes respond by cutting these areas too aggressively. Unfortunately, this can create instability in everyday life. When basic needs become uncomfortable or restrictive, emotional spending often appears somewhere else as compensation. Protecting essential spending ensures that daily life remains stable and functional. Once essentials are secure, adjustments can then be made in flexible areas like entertainment, subscriptions, or optional purchases. This approach keeps life balanced while still reducing total spending. Financial strategies work best when they maintain stability rather than creating additional stress. Number 6, separate price increases from lifestyle upgrades. Inflation raises prices without increasing value. Lifestyle upgrades increase spending by personal choice. But these two forces are often confused with each other. For example, a restaurant meal may cost more today simply because of inflation, but choosing a more expensive restaurant than usual represents a lifestyle upgrade. When these two effects combine, spending can increase much faster than necessary. Separating unavoidable price increases from optional upgrades restores clarity. Clarity helps people recognize which expenses are truly unavoidable and which ones remain within their control. When this distinction becomes clear, spending decisions become more intentional. Intentional decisions reduce regret and allow budgets to adapt more effectively during inflation. Number 5. Use fixed spending limits. Flexible budgets work well when prices remain stable and predictable, but during inflation, prices constantly move. Flexible budgets slowly expand without people noticing. A fixed spending limit creates a clear boundary that prevents this gradual expansion. When a limit exists, every purchase must compete with other potential purchases. This competition forces prioritization in real time. Convenience becomes less powerful, while intention becomes stronger. Over time, these limits restore a sense of control that inflation often removes. Savings improve not because prices are lower, but because decisions become more deliberate. Number 4. Automate savings instead of increasing pressure. Inflation often makes saving money feel emotionally difficult. Even if income remains unchanged, rising prices make money feel tighter. Many people respond by putting more pressure on themselves to save. Unfortunately, pressure rarely improves consistency. Automation works differently. Small automatic transfers move money into savings accounts before spending decisions occur. Because the money is moved first, spending naturally adjusts to what remains available. Automation removes the need for repeated discipline or motivation. Over time, these small systems quietly build financial stability even during uncertain economic conditions. Number 3, track consumption, not just spending. Most people track how much money they spend, but inflation often hides inside how frequently items are purchased. Buying the same product twice as often can quietly double the cost even if the price remains similar. Consumption tracking focuses on patterns rather than totals. It observes how quickly items are used, how frequently replacements occur, and which habits accelerate spending. Once these patterns become visible, people naturally begin adjusting their behavior. Awareness alone often reduces waste and unnecessary purchases. When consumption becomes intentional, spending becomes easier to control, even when prices continue rising. Number 2, protect emergency savings. Inflation increases financial uncertainty. Unexpected expenses feel heavier, and rising prices can create emotional pressure. During stressful moments, it can be tempting to dip into emergency savings for non-emergency spending. Separating emergency funds from everyday accounts creates psychological distance between impulse and action. This distance helps protect savings for their intended purpose. When emergency funds remain untouched, people avoid relying on credit during difficult periods. Avoiding credit prevents long-term financial damage caused by short-term stress. Strong emergency savings create a sense of security that improves decision-making during uncertain times. Number 1, redefine saving as adaptation. Many people approach saving during inflation with a mindset of sacrifice. They imagine that saving requires giving up comfort, enjoyment, or quality of life. But financially resilient individuals view the situation differently. They see saving as adaptation. Adaptation focuses on adjusting habits, timing, and systems rather than eliminating enjoyment completely. Small adjustments across many areas reduce pressure in any single place. This balanced approach protects both financial stability and personal well-being. Saving strategies that preserve quality of life are far more likely to last than extreme reactions. Bonus tip: track emotional reactions to rising prices.
Inflation does not only affect finances, it also affects emotions. Higher prices can trigger frustration, urgency, fear, or a sense of unfairness. These emotional reactions quietly influence spending decisions in ways that feel justified in the moment. Some people overspend for emotional relief, while others avoid financial planning entirely. Tracking emotional reactions reveals the patterns behind these behaviors. Once those patterns become visible, a pause appears between emotion and action. That pause allows logic to return to the decision-making process. Better emotional awareness often protects more money than any financial strategy. If everything feels expensive right now, you do not need to change everything at once. Choose one adjustment from this list and apply it consistently. Small changes compound over time. Comment which strategy you're starting with. Subscribe for realistic and pressure-free money guidance. And thank you for watching. See you next time.